Okay, now that the video is over, what did you think of the video? Did you agree? Did you disagree? Please explain yourself. So let's also break out into breakout rooms now and talk about that for about another 2 minutes and then come back and share. Okay, so now that we've discussed that, the next thing is, can you imagine a world without social media? What would it be like? So it's just interesting because let's see, when most of you guys would have been born around the year 2007, I'm guessing, 2008, 2009 maybe. So pretty much your whole life we've had smartphones. Pretty much your whole life we've had social media, although it didn't really become very popular. We call that market saturation whenever something goes over 50%. And let me look that up real quick. So we also call that social network penetration rate. Is the penetration rate is how popular something is. So it says in 2018, it was 69% of Americans were using social media. Here we go. Share of US adults who've used each technology. So social media in general, looks like it reached market saturation around 2012, okay, or even all the way back to 2011. So in 2011, half the people used social media. At that point, it becomes saturated. That means pretty much everybody has it, so it's very relevant. It's like when TVs started coming out. Yes, they existed, but not everyone had one. So by the 60s and 70s, when every family has a television, well, now television is very influential and has a lot of power. So same thing with smartphones, social media. See, smartphones didn't come up until about 2013. So like, yeah, when I was in high school, we didn't have smartphones, but we did have computers at home, most of us. And so we could access MySpace or Facebook on the computer. So that's where it started. It actually started on the computer. But now we say social media, a lot of us think of the phone, right? So going back to our question, can you imagine what the world today would be like without social media, or what the world used to look like before social media? And let's talk about that. Maybe we'll just stick to the chat this time. Go ahead and think about it a little bit, and then type something in the chat. Maybe if you have something you want to say, you can raise your hand. We can talk about it together as a class. So we can pause the video here. All right, how much time do you spend outside? Now, we could also talk about how much time do you spend on social media. We are kind of taking a shift now away from the social media thought and going on to the population thought. But see, social media, the reason why it's so important, as I discussed in the video, is because it is one tool of communication that people or companies, businesses, governments can use to reach many people all at once. And it's not just many people like on TV. Yes, you can reach many people, but so smartphones are specifically for you. So especially for advertising, they know what you do on that phone, okay, because they track you. So they can, based on all that, they can figure out how old you are, your favorite hobbies, and what kind of things you are likely to buy. So if you ever tap on an app and open up, or sorry, if you ever tap on an ad and open up the ad to see what it is, well, they remember that so that they can put more ads to you that look like that. Or if you like a page on Facebook or follow somebody on Instagram or something like that, well, okay, he or she followed this person, so they probably want to buy this product. So they're only going to buy an ad to people who they think are most likely going to want their product, which means we end up buying more things. It also affects the environment too. So how much time do you spend outside? You want to type that in the chat. And do you think that social media is related to that? Do you think that our modern society maybe is spending less time outdoors because of technology? Do you think that people 10 years ago, when they were in 6th grade, do you think they spent more, or do you think they spent less time outside? Was it the same? How about 20 years ago? Okay. So is social media good or is it bad? That's your own opinion. What do you think? And everyone has their own opinion on this. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer either. All right, so in what ways do you need to adapt to the environment in your area? Again, kind of changing subject, but I'll give you an example. Like an adaptation is a change, something that we do to adjust. In Illinois, where I'm from, it's very flat. It's not like this picture behind me. This is New Mexico, by the way. But in Illinois, it's almost like no hills or anything. It's just very flat land. So our roads can be very straight. Why can roads be very straight in a place like Illinois or even a lot of places around here? But then again, why would a road need to curve? Why do we need to have curves in a road? Just for fun? So it's more fun to drive, especially when you drive fast. You can drive around the curves like a race. Go ahead and type that in the chat, because I'll tell you that's not true. We don't just put curves in the road for fun. Why do we make roads curvy? Okay, roads usually curve because they're going around something that you can't build a road through. Okay, so if there's a hill, well, it's better to go around. It's cheaper and safer probably to go around the hill than it would be to go up it. A lot of times hills are like this, and you can't go. Your car would end up being sideways for a while as you go down. If you go up a really big hill, you know that takes a lot of gas, and then you go right back down, and that's kind of dangerous on your brakes. If you go through a hill to go straight through one, it's very expensive because you have to dig a tunnel. Okay, so just roads and driving is another thing that we need to adjust to the environment. Okay, what are other ways we need to adjust to the environment? You can go ahead and pause and give some examples that you can think of here. Okay, and if you didn't talk about it, one other example I think of is, like, for example, a forest fire. Okay, so if you live in a place that's a very dry forest, then you're at risk of having your house and your property burned down, or your city, because forest fires are natural. They happen naturally. Okay. Same thing with an area like in Houston or Galveston down to South Texas, or even over into Louisiana and over to Florida and Puerto Rico, all these places in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, they experience what? Hurricanes. Okay, and so hurricanes are very dangerous, as we talked about in a previous video. We saw the effects of Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, and how people had to move. Okay, and other examples I'm sure we talked about. All right, so do you know what is the population of the United States? It is approximately 330 million people. Okay, that's a lot of people. When I was in high school, it was 300 million. So in about 10 or so years, there's been 30 million new people in the United States. What's the population of the world? Okay, it's approximately 100,000 million, billion, 7,672,300,000 people approximately. That's the entire world. There are more people alive now than there ever have been in the history of the world. The population is only going up, and we can take a look at this census population clock. And there are many of these on the internet, but this is one of them. So this is as of today when I'm recording this. And it's an estimate. You know, they don't actually know exactly when every single person is born, but they can make good guesses based on math. And you can see here how, you know, every 8 seconds, so this is like a count up to a new person. So the population is going to go up 1, but there's also at the same time a count down to when somebody dies. Okay. Another thing, if you notice here, international migrant. So this means a person who moves to the United States, about 1 every 47 seconds. Net gain, so this is all of them added together. Every 16 seconds, we get a new person, okay? So we have 2 things coming in and 1 thing going out. Although we do have migration out of the country too, but that's apparently negligible. All right, biggest countries in the world: China, India, then us, number 3, United States. Indonesia, Pakistan. So we're about the same as Indonesia. All right. And there are some other things. Right here, this is a population pyramid. This is for the United States. And we're going to talk about those today. And what it shows is it has each one of these graphs is the amount of people. Okay, this is written in terms of percent of population. And then each new level is a new age. Okay, so 10-year-olds compared to 13-year-olds, 20-year-olds, all the way up. Okay, so me, I'm 29, so that would be my group. My group looks to be the second largest in the United States. And you can see it goes down, okay? So, couple things. If we don't have people coming into the country, which we do, we have people migrate to the United States, but they migrate at different ages. They could migrate at any age pretty much, all right? So, but let's not talk about that. If we have zero migration, then the only way a population number can do is it can only go down, okay? So this number right here of 0.59% or whatever, roughly 1% of the population for like 0-year-olds, well, that number is not going up. It's only going down, okay? When somebody dies, that number goes down, okay? That's why the one at the top, all these are smaller, because it looks about that like right around the age 60, people start to die, okay? So as we go up, the numbers keep going down and down and down because nobody is being born at the year 75, right? If you're alive at 75, you've been alive for 75 years, and the only other option is to not be alive, okay? Now, the other thing is we do have the migration, is what I said. So you're gonna have migration mostly up till 70, I would guess, somewhere around in here. So those numbers do change, but for the most part and for most countries, they don't change. They only go down. And we'll get to that in a second, why that's important, okay? So you have density and populace. So populace as an adjective, it just means lots of people, how many people. Highest density. Density is how close together things are, okay? So if a place is dense, more dense, it's gonna have more things in the same area, okay? So if we have 1 mile in a square, it's 1 square mile, okay? Then we can say the population density is however many people live there per square mile. And we'll get more to that later. But density is how many things, or in this case, people, are in one given area. Okay? All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint. So population is always changing. What causes population change? We just talked about that, but let's go ahead and type that into the chat. What would cause the population to change, up or down? And we can pause and discuss. All right, we measure population trends with population pyramids. So we're going to watch a YouTube video, but before that, we need to go over some terms. So this is the population pyramid. This is supposed to be for the United States from 2012, about 8 years old at this point. But you can see how it's relatively the same until you get to like the 50s. It's almost like a square, okay? And then as we go up, it's more like a pyramid or a triangle. You have the number of population, so how many millions of females and how many millions of males are born. We also have the age here, how old somebody is. It goes all the way up. It's a group, so it's under 5, so it's grouped in roughly 5 years. Okay, shows the age and gender, so men, women, right? Population, right? Different age groups are along the y-axis. Overall shape of the pyramid helps identify population trends. In other words, how we can tell what the future of a country might look like. Broad base, narrow top, indicating a higher number of children, shows that the population is increasing. Narrow base and wide top, if it's more up at the top than at the bottom, that means that there's more old people and that the population is decreasing, it's going down. An even distribution like we have here means that the population is stable. It means it's not really changing. All right, so we're gonna watch the video now.